Hey H Youth, welcome to today's very special episode of the Sunday Lowdown. Man, we're so glad you guys are here, and it's very special because today is Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day, man, from all of us here at H Youth to you. Thank you so much for what you do. Tell your mom happy Mother's Day if you haven't yet. Make sure you're saying that. Thank you so much for making this a part of this special day with you guys. This episode is dedicated to all the moms. We got some crazy stuff coming up. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like it. You can share this video, and if you're watching on Instagram, make sure you are following us as well, and you can share this video with all your friends. We have tons of stuff coming up here at HCU. And a reminder, always, I want to remind you guys that we have an awesome party, hangout, virtual experience, virtual HCU, online service every Wednesday at 7 p.m. live, only on YouTube. We have a live chat, tons of fun stuff, worship, message. You don't want to miss it, but let's check out today's episode of the Sunday Lowdown. Happy Mother's Day.
Yo, what up, HCU? My name is Raul, and I invite you all to the Sunday Lowdown, Smackdown. It's gonna be lit and have fun. Join us on Instagram and TikTok or whatever you do. I can't wait to see you guys there. It's gonna be something lit. Have milk in it. Wait, for the gram.
Hey, what's up, HC Youth? Who's ready to have some fun?
Something like that.
Yo, what's up, HC Youth? Welcome to the Sunday Lowdown.
Is that what you got out of what I said?
Hey HC Youth, welcome to tonight. We cannot wait to hang out. Glad you're all here.
Hey, what's up, HCU?
What are you doing with your hands?
I don't do that.
You clearly see where I get my dashingly good looks from. Not my dad. Sorry, Dad. But this is my mom, and she is going to sit here and share a story about me from my childhood that I've not heard yet. I don't know what it is, so...
But he was there for it. Coming up with just one story was very challenging for Connor, for us as parents to come up with Connor, because there's so many good ones. But here we go. So this one happened in 9th grade.
I didn't pick this one.
Of course, it's a good one. If you want video evidence, we do have that too. I had to go pick him up from football practice. It was one of his first, right? One of the first weight training.
Like, work I've ever done in my life. First time I've ever lifted weights.
Yeah, so it's a first weight training workout, and we're a pretty fit family. We're athletic and we move a lot, and so yeah, okay, so let's go on. So here we go. I go to pick him up. He gets in the car. He's walking slowly to the car. He gets into the car. He plops his butt down in the seat and says, "Mom, you have to put the seatbelt on me." And I looked at him.
I was kidding.
No, I don't believe it for a second. No, I don't lie. No, he said, "Oh, please put the seatbelt on me." And me, in my very lovingly, wonderful, motherly way, said, "No, put it on yourself." So he did. He achingly groaned and grabbed his seatbelt and put it across him and just laid there in the seat all the way home. And honestly, deep down, I thought it was really, really funny. So then I sneakingly went into the other room and called my husband and told him about Connor's drama, about picking him up and not being able to put his own seatbelt on because he was too sore. And so we thought we would play a little trick on Connor. And so I videoed Connor while my husband called him and asked him to cut the lawn. And we have this video footage of him melting to the ground in this completely dramatic way. I know, Connor dramatic? Who knew? They melted all the way to the ground. Please. So he melted all the way to the ground and just moaned and whined the entire time, refusing to cut the lawn because his arms were just incredibly too sore to push the mower. That's my funny story. Funny and embarrassing. Would you like more?
No, we're done.
Just a quick story about Jake. When he was probably about 7 or 8, he and his sister were jumping on the trampoline. They had little balls. They were jumping up and down, watching them go off. His sister stepped on one, flipped over, started crying instantly. Jake runs into the house and goes, "I didn't do it! Unfortunately, his sister did break her leg at that point. But all I remember is him going, "Yes, I didn't do it, don't hurt."
Aunt one. So when you were in first grade and I came to pick you up after school, we used to come to I think for some reason I came to the door of your classroom and the kids came up, Mrs. Werner, Stephen ate an ant today. And I said, "Oh, honey, no, I think he probably just pretended. I'm sure he was just teasing you." And they kept going. We got home and I looked at you and I said, "Stephen, did you really eat an ant today?" And you just said, "Mm-hmm. Yep, I did. Mm-hmm." And I about died, so I figured maybe I should give you a carrot to, add a vegetable to that protein. Your teacher literally looking right at me, and she started yelling at me because you would not stay still on your chair. In fact, you're doing it right now, aren't you?
I'm on a
doing it
stool
right now.
and
You are
I'm
rocking on your chair. And she pointed her finger at me and she said, "Your son will not stay still in his chair," and literally yelling at me.
So I'm trying to think about how old you were, 5 or 6, maybe 7 or 8. I don't know. I'd say more 6 or 7.
Okay.
You were riding a bike and you had training wheels and just going down the sidewalk and everything. And one of your training wheels, it was just coming off. The wheel came off, but the bracket was still on. So Dad took the bracket off. And now he was going to take the bracket off. There's no wheel. He goes, "Let me take it off, Kyle." And you go, "No, don't take it off. It's helping me ride." It's like, okay, you only have one training wheel. So we let you keep that one training wheel. Then that wheel came off. And so you have 2 brackets. "No, Daddy, don't take it off. I can't ride my bike if you take it off." Like, son, you're riding your bike on 2 wheels. You don't have training wheels. It was so funny.
Man, I was a dumb kid.
You remember that 4th of July weekend? Y'all came out, it was raining, pouring down rain. Y'all started to come under the tent, and all of a sudden you start gagging. "Ooh, poop, Daddy." And you couldn't stop. You couldn't come in all the rain. You're just standing there. "Ooh, poop." And Dad kept saying, "No, Kyle, it's just mud. It's just mud. It's not poop."
Dad always makes fun of me because I always thought mud was poop as a kid, and I think there was a story about me thinking tree sap on the tree was poop or something.
Yeah, that happened too.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I love you.
Oh, I love you too.
So when Raul started preschool, he was 4 years old, and I got a letter from the teacher, and I was all excited because it said Mrs. Herrera, and I was like, oh. And I opened it, and it said, "Dear Mrs. Herrera," I still have the letter, I should go dig it out. But it says, "Dear Mrs. Herrera, I think you need to speak to Raul about he having problems with authority." It said that he refused to hold the safety patrol's hand in line.
I ain't holding no one's hand besides my mom's.
And he said to her, quote, "I don't have to hold your hand because you're not my mom." And then she said, and on another occasion, he told the safety patrol, "Get your stinking butt over here and help me get my coat."
Yeah, she wouldn't help me. I was standing there.
Only 4.
And she wouldn't help me put my coat on.
So needless to say, we had to sit Raul down and teach him manners.
Okay.
Still working on him.
All right.
What is up, HC Youth? Welcome to the Sunday Lowdown. Man, want to say a huge happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Anybody tuning in, make sure that you make your moms feel loved today, or mom figures, or grandmas, whoever's in that role in your life. And huge shout out to the HC Youth moms for playing along and making the Sunday Lowdown fun today. And man, I hope that you guys were able to tune in this morning to our Heritage Church services online over at heritagechurch.com. Got to check out one of them. And man, we're continuing in this Fearless series where we're just looking at different characters in the Bible and talking about what the Bible teaches us about living fearlessly. And today we talked about a really important idea. We talked about the idea of influence, and we looked at the life of this woman named Esther. And man, influence I think is such an important topic for us to talk about, because I think nowadays everybody knows that we all have some opportunity to have influence. I think now more than ever before, everybody truly has the opportunity for influence in the world, right? We all have, the ability to create social media accounts. And I know there are some people even in our group that have a ridiculous amount of followers and views on their TikTok. It's crazy. There are people that are, have influence because of video games that they play and they stream online, and hundreds and thousands of people go and watch them play this game, right? So all of us have this idea that we could have influence. We could have this following, and I think that's, like I said, unique kind of to our time in history. But I also think that with that in mind, it's important for us to root our understanding of influence, not just in this idea, but in what the Bible teaches us. And that's why I think the story of Esther that we looked at today was so important. If you guys don't know her story, she was a Jewish woman who was actually in like the royal court for a group of people that were kind of over the Israelites at that time. And so she was in this position of power, but there was still a little bit of fear for her for how she could use that power, how she could use that influence, right? Her influence wasn't absolute. There was a chance that things could go bad. And so she was stuck in this moment where she had some fear, but she decided to step out and use her influence, use her position for her people. And Pastor Jeff gave us 3 big ideas that laid out when we can be our most influential that were in the story of Esther. And I just want to share them really quick, because what we saw in Esther I think was great. We saw in Esther that we are our most influential when we sympathize with our people, when we sacrifice for our people, when we speak up for our people. And here's why I think this is so interesting to catch. When we think about influence and when we think about influencers and stuff, a lot of times we think about people that maybe think about themselves a lot. I was actually at a cafe one time, and before we weren't allowed in cafes, and I overheard these people talking, and they were some type of social media influencers, I guess. They were talking about brands reaching out to them. They were talking about photo shoots. They were talking about what they would wear and what, oh my gosh, I wouldn't wear. And their conversation was very much focused on them. And I don't say this to at them. I don't say this to come off judgmental. That's not my heart here. But I do think in general, our culture, we favor, when we think about influence, we favor ourselves. We think about my influence and what I can do. When we look at the story of Esther and these truths that we pulled out, these principles of influence we pulled out, we see that we're actually at our most influential when we're using our influence for others. Not for myself, but for others. And this is such a flip of the script. Hebrews 13:16 says, "Don't forget to do good things for others and to share what you have with them. These are the kinds of sacrifices that please God." It's other-focused influence is where we're actually our most influential. And I think when we're using our influence for others is where we find courage and where we find power from God in that influence. Right? When we really have God on our side, when we step out, when we can have courage and strength in how we wield our influence is when we're using it for others. Because God didn't create us to be alone. God created us to be in community, to be for each other. We keep saying throughout this whole thing that we're better together. And so I got 2 questions and then kind of a challenge for you. And the 2 questions are this: who are your people? First one's that, who are your people? When we talked about Esther, she knew her people were the Israelites, and she was going to look out for her people. So identify in your life, who are the people that maybe you have some influence over, some power over? And all of a sudden, instead of thinking about how you can use that power for yourself, ask yourself, how can you use your influence for them? Maybe it's younger siblings. Maybe it's neighbors, younger neighbors that are outside. Maybe it's, classmates or something. I don't know where you have influence, but when you have influence over people, thinking of them as your people that you can sympathize with, sacrifice for, speak up for, that's a different way to look at it. And the second question I want to ask you is this: what kind of person do you want to follow? Right, when we talk about this idea of influence, like I said, it's easy to get caught up in ourselves and what we can do for ourselves. But when we think about who we would actually want to follow, chances are you want to follow someone that's thinking about you. You want to follow someone who's willing to sacrifice for you, who has your best interest in mind. And so if you want to be someone who has influence, it's worth asking yourself, whose best interest are you looking out for? Yours or your people's? The people that you have some type of position over, the people that either now or in the future you're going to have some kind of position over, right? Because I truly believe God will empower us and give us strength and ability to lead and have influence when we're using it in His way, which isn't us focused, but is other focused and for God's glory. So HC Youth, I want to challenge you, I want to encourage you, think about those questions. Who are your people and how can you leverage your influence to be someone that people would want to follow? Hey, again, have a happy Mother's Day. Tell your mom you love her. Can't wait to see you guys Wednesday.
Hey, again, just thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're sharing. Make sure you subscribe. Like this video if you want. We can't wait to be together in real life again. But even though we're separated during this time, we can stay connected through these videos, through our formats. Don't forget, again, 7 p.m. Virtual HU this Wednesday. See you guys next week.